Hi Stampers, it's Christine from Christine's Stamping Spot. Happy Monday and happy spring. Spring arrived Saturday and what a wonderful feeling that was. So let's hope that we will be able to get out and about and get into our gardens soon. So I hope you all have a wonderful spring. So today we're going to focus on the Handsomely Suited bundle, which is in the January to June mini, and you can find that on page 66 and 67. It comes as a bundle with the stamp set and the suit and tie dyes, and some wonderful designer series paper. So I've been kind of on the fence about trying this. I think I may have shown one sample using this once, but I thought, well, we'll try to do a card together today. And I also have some other samples because I was playing around a little bit this week. So we'll see how this goes. So this is the stamp set with some really nice images for dads and birthdays and Father's Days. And then these are the dies. So you get a wide variety, bow ties, regular ties, some stitching for the front of the shirts, some suspender pieces, some lapels and V's and buttons and pockets and collars. There's all kinds of different pieces that go with this set. So let's get started. The card we're going to make is actually, it's this one, first of all, using some of the nice designer series paper. And this particular card is actually a bit of a fancy, well, you call it fancy fold, but it goes up like this. So it's like a 3-panel card. And I found this online by one of the UK demonstrators and switched it up a little bit and played with the measurements a little bit. So we'll see how this goes. But I thought this was kind of a fun card. So let's see if we can put this together. So I did, of course, do a bunch of cutting beforehand because there's lots of little pieces in these dies. So we're going to start with a piece of basic gray for our base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I think we'll start on the front of our card first. So we're going to do this sort of sweater vest is what the intent was with this. Okay, so for that, I chose this pattern of the designer paper, and I already pre-cut it with one of the dies. So I used this V die, and I cut 2 pieces. One is actually to be a little bit wider because you do, in fact, want to cover the whole front of this. But I kind of messed up mine a little bit. I cut it a little bit smaller, but that's still going to work. So I cut 2 the same, and I will post all of these measurements for you. So I cut 2 the same size, and then I placed my V die. I would say it was about maybe 2.5 to 3 inches down from the top. And I tried to center it as best I can. Ran that through the die cut machine, and it came out like this. So then the purpose of why I did 2 was because on my sample I've got one on the front and then I have one on the inside. You don't have to necessarily use the inside panel. You could just leave it as the basic gray cardstock. That's fine too, but I thought it was just a nice way to kind of finish off that inside panel as well. Okay, so let's attach, I'll save this piece for the center. Let's attach this to the front, and we'll try to piece together our sweater vest. Now I know a lot of the dads and grandpas out in the crowd, quite a few of them like to wear a sweater vest to keep warm and toasty. So I thought, well, that was a great idea that I saw online. So I thought, well, let's try that with Father's Day coming up. I thought that was a good choice. Okay, so we're gonna put this right to the edge. Now, normally, like I said, you would cut it the full 4 1/4, I guess it would be, but I accidentally just trimmed this down 1/4 of an inch. But whether it's like that or not, that's fine. So that is the front. And then I'm going to put the inside panel over here. Okay, so let's put some adhesive on that. And there are lots of little pieces on here, so let's do the big ones first. Okay, so we're going to put this right to this edge as well on the inside. And just try to line that up along the bottom and the sides. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to take some scissors and cut out this V. Now you could try to line it up with the die again, but I thought, oh, this is just a little bit faster, but it's totally personal preference. So let's just cut out this V, and the point of that is because I want our shirt to show through the sweater front here, the cardigan front. Okay, so there, we'll cut that out like so, and then it's like so on the inside. Okay, so now we're gonna just decorate the front of this a little bit. We're gonna put on sort of a bit of a knitted lapel, and for the buttons and a pocket. So we're gonna start with one of the lapel pieces, and I don't know if you can see, but it's quite dark. I mean, if you wanted to switch it, you could. I don't know if that's the nicest one to coordinate, but there is some stitching around these dies, which is really quite neat. So I'm gonna bring out actually my silicone mat because that will keep my paper from getting completely sticky. All right, so what I want to do first, before I do the lapels, I'm going to put down our center here. So I'm just going to line it up at the end of that V and put it down as straight as you can, and then I'm just going to trim off the excess, and you could maybe use this for another project. The rest of that, so we have that part, and then we're going to put our little lapel pieces here. Okay, so we're going to add some more adhesive to this, and I'm going to start, it's just a little bit dark, so it's a little bit hard to see, but this particular pattern, you're just going to line it up along that V. Okay, and then trim off the excess, and then we'll do it on the other side as well. Okay, so we have one more cut out, same thing. We're gonna line this up from here to the top. So some more adhesive. And I'm just gonna flip this upside down so I can see. You're gonna line this up just along the edge of that V, like so. And again, we're gonna trim off the excess. And there is our V. So now I'm gonna add some buttons. Now these buttons in this die are super tiny. I know at one time we did used to have another button die, I believe, with bigger buttons, which was always something you could, if you have that, you might want to use those instead, because these are very small, and on one side, I don't know if you can see here either, it's meant to look like a button with buttonholes and a little ring in there. Now, if you don't use these, you could even just use a very small circle punch and just punch out some buttons, I suppose, if you wanted bigger ones. But for this purpose of this, I'll just try to use what's in the dies here, just to show you. Okay, so I think we're just gonna only put about 3 on this front. So try to center them. And one more towards the bottom. Okay, so there are our buttons. And I did those just in black. And then we're gonna do our pocket piece. So these 2 pieces I cut out as well. So a little bit of a black trim. That's gonna go on top of our pocket. You could just leave it without the trim, but I thought it adds a little bit of something. And then I'm gonna pop that up with some mini dimensionals. So let's let's do about 4. These are so small too. Everything has been sticking to my fingers this week. Okay, or you could just use one big one. That would probably do the job just as well. Okay, let's peel this off. And then we will add our pockets. So maybe we will put that just sort of here, like so. And then I do have a happy birthday, which we'll put on at the end maybe. Okay, so now we're ready to work on the inside. So for this, because it's a 3-panel, so you've got this piece that flaps up. I was trying to think, okay, the UK demonstrator didn't actually have directions on how to do this. So I was trying to think, well, how would she do that? So this is what I came up with. So I took a piece of basic white cardstock and I cut this, I think it was 6 inches by 4 1/8, and then I scored it at 5/8. So what's meant to happen is you're going to fold on that score line, and once we've decorated this, we're going to put some adhesive here and we're going to stick that down, and that should give us our flap. Okay, so let's decorate this piece, and for this we want to do a shirt with some suspenders. So there's some great DSP patterns in the package. I chose this one. So we're going to start with our base, and I did cut this exact to match up on the white. And this is a pretty pattern on the reverse. I really like that. I think that's really cool. You can make some great shirts and great ideas using this paper. It's really fun. Okay, so I'm just gonna line this up here and up to the score line and just match it down and press. Okay, so you're gonna leave this flap uncovered. All right. So now we're gonna put on our collar, which I also cut out of one of the dies with the matching DSP. Now we do want this sort of to be centered in here. So you can just kind of give it a quick look and kind of spot out where, sort of in the center there, I think. And again, I'm gonna use some mini dimensionals. I think I'll put about 4. Just to hold this collar in place. Now this is a really skinny little center in this die, so really be careful that it doesn't rip on you, although you could probably just piece it together again. Okay, so we will have the points facing down. I'm just going to do this upside down just so I get this lined up here. Okay, so I think I figured this was about center. So you're just gonna line that up on the edge like so. So when this is in, that'll look like it's kind of centered there. Okay, and then we're gonna put our strip of DSP down for our buttons. So again, I cut another strip out of the same designer paper. So we're just gonna put some adhesive on that. And what I did was I just sort of tucked it underneath, just not going through because then you'll see it, but just sort of under a little bit. And these dots actually help to kind of align this fairly straight, I think, or straight as possible. Okay, so let's just, oops, trim this edge off here. Okay, so there, we're ready now to assemble more buttons. Okay, so I think here I'll probably put on about 5 or 6. Of course, it just depends how far you're going to spread these apart. And that is totally up to you. If you don't want to put a lot of buttons on, you don't have to. But I'm gonna start with about 5, maybe. Let's see how far I spread these apart. Probably like that is not bad. You want to try to be even, but if you're a little off, that's fine. These are quite piddly, that's for sure, but they do add a lot to the card, I think, once they're on. And you could use even different kinds of gems or different, you know, colors of buttons out of different cardstock, depending on your DSP. I mean, you might want to try to coordinate, but there are some pretty colorful shirts out there, so you could have fun with that. I just wanted to trim this here a little bit more. Okay, so there are our buttons. So now I'm going to put on our suspenders, and I used the same designer paper that we had on the front for the sweater. You could do just basic gray if you wanted, or white. I mean, suspenders, I think, come in lots of colors. The reverse is this sort of plaid look, which is kind of fun if you're doing a different sort of theme. And then you're just going to try to center these as well between the collar and the outside. So I'm just going to line this up here and try to align with the dots. Hopefully I cut that fairly straight. Okay, and then we'll do the other side. And we'll put this in the center, fairly as centered as we can. And put that down, press that. And then we shall put some clasps on here for our suspenders. So for those, these are also dies, and I cut them out with the silver foil. And so we will try to place these here. Let's see, maybe I'll put this one here. The clasp. And then line this one on the other side, like so. And then these little pieces, maybe we'll stick them up here. You can just see how this comes together. This reminds me so much of like paper dolls when I was a kid. I'm kind of aging myself, but all the little pieces that you would put on your paper doll, right? Okay, so there's our shirt. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we can try to put this inside here. I think our buttons are not too bad as far as centering. So now we're going to put some adhesive along this edge here. And then we're going to fold that down. And then I am going to try to line this up to the right and at the bottom, like so. So you'll have a little bit of the gray poking at the top, but that's okay. And there, that will be our flap, okay? So then what I did is I cut another piece of basic white to fit in here, and this will be where we can stamp a greeting, or you could write your message. So put some adhesive on this and then stamp a greeting. So this again, I'm gonna line it up right at the bottom of the gray and to the right on the sides, like so, okay? So then you have room to write your greeting. So in the stamp set, there's a number of different greetings. You're the best, thank you to one of the world's greatest dads, happy birthday to you, and even have a happy Father's Day, handsome. Or you could even cover the handsome and just have a happy Father's Day. I chose just birthday. And I'm just gonna ink that in our black memento and stamp this here, like so. And that will be the inside. And then last I wanted to put our little other happy birthday here. And I just stamped that in Memento, and I used one of the dies from the Art Gallery suite, or the Art Gallery bundle. Can't remember the actual name of the dies, but they're also in this current mini. I just kind of liked the shape of these dies. I thought they were good. And the stamp was actually from a different stamp set that I had that I thought, I just wanted something skinny on the front. Okay, so let's put this on the front as well. And I'm just gonna fit it between these buttons here, like so. Happy birthday. And there is your card. Isn't that just the coolest thing? So you've got your front sweater, you open it to see the shirt, and then voila, you can write your message. So a 3-panel card. Now I just wanted to show you some other samples that I was playing with and came up with. Some of them I saw online and just switched up a little bit. So we have another cardigan card. This one also uses this plaid DS, this checkered DSP from the designer paper. But this panel here, if any of you remember the old cable knit embossing folder that we had, I ran it through that. I thought that would be kind of nice because I know in the winter and things, you know, cable knits are always a popular pattern. And then I just used the panels as well and added some navy buttons. So there's that one. And then I did a formal one. I might have shared this one with you earlier. For someone that's a little more formal, suit and tie, and changed up the color of the lapels. This DSP was actually from a different pack of DSP. I hadn't had the well-suited DSP yet, so I just used something that I thought would work for a suit front. So that's a formal one. I've also seen some done as a tuxedo, which are neat. This one was just kind of a fun one, with some really bright DSP that's in the package, and I added some espresso suspenders to that, so that's quite colorful. And then this one is more, for me, like a golf shirt. It's also a pattern in the DSP, but instead of doing the buttons all the way to the bottom, I just did it sort of as like a golf shirt would. And if you can tell, the buttons are a little bit shiny. And what I did is I pulled out some old Crystal Effects that I had, and I put a little bit of that on the button and just let it dry, and it came out shiny like that. So that's something a little bit different. And then just added a greeting on there. And then for the set, I did this one, just to show you don't need to do just suits or sweaters or jackets or whatever. This is simply using some of the 2 die stamps in here. They also have bow ties. And I just stamped them on different colors of cardstock with different inks. This white one here was actually stamped on the Misty Moonlight cardstock, which is our base, and embossed with white. So I thought that was kind of neat to show that pattern off. And it's the same pattern here, except this was just stamped with some Misty Moonlight on Seaside Spray. So that's also just a very simple card that doesn't have to use a number of the dies. There is a die to cut out the ties, but... And then for something different, I did some ladies cards using these particular dies. And this is the Parisian embossing folder. And I did this out of Calypso Coral. And I just added some pearls under the collar there. And then this one was something different. It uses Highland Heather with the same Parisian embossing folder. And these are the pastel pearls, the pearls that come with the Hydrangea Suite and the Hydrangea DSP here. So I thought that was kind of something different. And then this last one is also the Hydrangea DSP, and I just added some little lapel pieces out of navy, added some rhinestone jewels for some bling, and 2 pockets. And then these are our opal rounds, which I thought, you know, might work for buttons for this particular card. So just to let you know, these particular dies aren't necessarily just for masculine cards. You can also use them for feminine cards, which is kind of fun. So there are our samples. So once you get going, you can have a lot of fun with these dies and create a lot of really fun projects. So I hope you enjoyed that today. Sorry for the length of the video. I just had so much to share with you today. So if you would like to order any of these products, please visit my website at christineludwig.stampinup.net, and please leave me a comment below. I'll post these samples too, and I'd like to know which is your favorite, or you know, which is the most fun, or what do you think of these dies? Do you think you'd ever give them a try? I'd be interested to hear what you have to say. So I hope you have a wonderful Monday and a great rest of the week, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.